Hey everyone, I am here to tackle the question, is lavender essential oil estrogenic? A lot of you have seen either this article, if I can point the right direction, it's the opposite way for me, but this was published in March of 2018 and it was titled More Evidence Essential Oils Make Male Breast Develop. So since then, there's been a lot of discussion in the essential oil world about this topic, and from time to time, we do get questions in this group asking if lavender essential oil, and sometimes they're also asking about tea tree essential oil, if it is estrogenic. And yesterday was no different. We had a question in the group from Stephanie asking how often to use lavender and tea tree essential oil for the most estrogenic effect. Now, typically we have questions being asked about the estrogenic potential and if it's true, the concerns, how to stay away from it. So it's interesting that this question is how to get more estrogenic activity. But there was an additional question from Stephanie. How do you avoid it transferring onto your children? I want to get the benefits of the extra estrogen for myself, but I don't want my kids to be affected since studies show it disrupts their hormones. So let's actually break down this article and talk about this. I am going to be referencing my notes so that I can make sure that this is all clear. This is based on the information at the time as I went through the article and broke it down. So I'm going to be referencing my old post from 2018 in reference to this information. So as I do that, I'm going to be popping up different article quotes so that you guys can be reading the same information as me. And when I'm done, I will add the link to this BBC article that was published in 2018 to the comments below. So the first quote that I want to talk about is their statement that a suspected link between abnormal breast growth in young boys and the use of lavender and tea tree oils has been given new weight after a study found 8 chemicals contained in the oils interfere with hormones. So let's talk about that for a moment. First of all, they use the words a suspected link. This is not concrete, at least not yet, and we have new information confirming this, by the way, so it's not really old news, but I just have this documented. Lavender and tea tree are probably the 2 most common essential oils used in bath and beauty products, so keep in mind it is often the fragrance oils used, not the essential oils. And back to my pet peeve from yesterday, it would be great if the industry as a whole, which doesn't have regulation, and this is why it doesn't happen, would use the words essential oil and not just oil when referring to essential oils. But a lot of companies just say oil when they mean essential oil, which leads to confusion, and it's difficult to understand what that source is until we ask the questions and get some answers, and even those that produce these certain products may not have that information. All right, so back to the information related to this quote here. Again, keep in mind it is usually the fragrance oils used, not the essential oils. They are added in soaps, lotions, and other products along with other synthetic chemicals and housed in plastic where the hormones in the plastic is often leached into the product. So is it fair to blame the essential oils? Let's look at the next quote from the article. They said, our society deems essential oils as safe. However, they possess a diverse amount of chemicals and should be used with caution because some of these chemicals are potential endocrine disruptors. Now, I definitely agree that there is much safety that needs to be learned by the public in general. I do believe the tide has changed a little bit and shifted in the 10 years that I've been doing this and sharing information. I do feel like more and more people are being aware. But also the industry is growing from 7 billion to 21 billion in just a few years. So there's still a lot of people that are brand new that need to learn safety information. But notice how he said potential endocrine disruptors. Let's look at the next quote here. This is again from the BBC article. They were tested on human cancer cells in the laboratory to measure the changes. Now, human cancer cells in the lab is not going to have the same effect as a lotion on the skin of a healthy individual. For all we know, the essential oils, if truly to blame, were trying to help destroy the cancer. Something to think about, right? The next quote from the article, they said the researchers found all 8 demonstrated varying degrees of promoting estrogen and or inhibiting testosterone properties. Varying degrees? Is that slim to none? Like, we literally do not know yet. Moving on, lavender oil and tea tree pose potential environmental health concerns and should be investigated further, said Mr. Ramsey. Potential and should be investigated further, that is inconclusive. Quoting the BBC article from 2018, again, we have this other quote. Of course, not everyone exposing themselves to such oils has adverse effects, so it is possible that there are particular individuals who may be more sensitive to the effects of the chemicals, or perhaps are using the products in excess. In excess. So if people used essential oils with intent and not willy-nilly in their bath and body products, use multiple times a day at dilutions, possibly at unsafe levels, then they should not experience adverse reactions. This is why we have safety guidelines, and I'll share those at the end of this recording here. Moving on to the next quote from the article, the concentration or dose to which the cells are exposed may not be equivalent to exposure in humans. There is a complex relationship between estrogen, testosterone, and other hormones in the body that cannot be replicated in these experiments. So even this news article is pointing out that this is a complex issue, not replicated, and that further investigation is necessary. So if essential oils do have this kind of power, they should be used in hormone replacement therapy and replace those dangerous silicone breast implants, right? I mean, really. So based on the article, I would say there is no reason to start freaking out about essential oils with boys, and to bring up a great point that maybe it's the Petri dishes. It should be pointed out that the Petri or Petri dishes used is a common denominator in this. They are made with phthalates, which are known hormone disruptors. Now, at the time this article came out, around the time where I wrote my response, Robert Tisserand also stated on his Facebook page, and for those of you who don't know, Robert Tisserand wrote the book Essential Oil Safety. He did translate the first aromatherapy book from, I believe it was French, to English and brought aromatherapy to the English world. In that video, he stated that essential oils can extract the chemicals in the plastic, and perhaps that is what was causing the presumably low levels of estrogen in the essential oils. So we do know that essential oils are strong, are concentrated, can break down plastics. If you've ever been told to make sure you are adding your drops of lemon to a glass and not a plastic water bottle, then you know that they have the potential to break down plastics, and that should also give you a little bit of a red flag that it's not safe to consume. Please do not consume essential oils if they can harm plastics. Well, we already know they can harm the insides of our skin, so we don't need to use the argument that we can see them breaking down plastics, therefore they might hurt the body. We already know there's people in this group with medically documented, verified proof that they now have ulcers from consuming essential oils, but that's not the point of this live. A side note is, why is it always the males who develop breasts? Why don't we hear studies showing that the essential oils caused all the children, male and female, to develop breasts? And where are the studies showing slathering lavender essential oil on cup A and B breasts will cause them to enlarge a cup size or 3? Just saying. So let's take a look at what Essential Oil Safety says. Again, that is a book written by Robert Tisserand, who I just mentioned. Now, before the BBC article was posted, others were circulating, and I've been tagged on Facebook and messaged and emailed about the link between estrogen and essential oils nearly every day for the past 2 weeks. Again, this was written back at the time this article was released, so I have been doing some research. So after I did that research in 2018, when this was freshly circulating, and it really has not died down, I did look at the references in essential oil safety, and honestly, I was a little bit confused myself. So let's share a couple of screenshots of what essential oil safety has to say. On page 151, it does say that lavender and tea tree did show a weak estrogenic action in human breast cancer and a very weak estrogenic activity reported from some essential oils like fennel, which we know is a potential carcinogen. And then on page 150, it says some essential oils are said to have probable estrogenic action in people with estrogen-dependent cancers. And I found that although some essential oil constituents exhibit estrogen-like activity in various in vitro tests, their actions are extremely weak. So it is, however, mentioned that as far as cancer is concerned, it typically takes daily exposure to high oral doses over many months to induce cancer in rodents. So something to be aware of. Now, we do know that essential oils have the potential to cause cancer. That's something that I've mentioned recently and shared with you. The download where you can access the information about essential oils that you should avoid. And that link is shown on the screen right now. And a lot of those essential oils are either neurotoxic or potentially carcinogenic. Anise, fennel, arbor vitae, nutmeg, those are all on that list. So is it possible for essential oils to cause enlarged breasts? So far, there is no solid evidence. Now, it boils down to this. You need to follow the safety guidelines for essential oils and you'll be fine. If you avoid essential oils that are potentially carcinogenic, if you use essential oils with intent, and for specific issues and not just because you feel like it. If you diffuse essential oils when needed and at the 10 minutes on, 20 minutes off recommended interval. If you use essential oils topically for topical skin issues only, otherwise inhale them. And of course, don't ingest essential oils. So hopefully that makes this topic clear as far as does your use of essential oils cause estrogenic activity in your children? Is it safe to use lavender and tea tree essential oils? So far, there's been rumors of it. There's been, a couple of different test results that have shown, is this a thing or not? But it's not replicated. So I would say keep using lavender and tea tree essential oils, but use them safely. And as far as the other essential oils that we do know can cause cancer, just don't use them. It's that simple, right? Better safe than sorry.